Buongiorno a tutti e benvenuti a questa nuova puntata di Ti chiama Ti Dance, la rubrica di Voci di Cittadella dedicata agli artisti che sono stati ospitati nelle passate edizioni del festival. Quest'oggi incontriamo Anna Mikula, coreografa, danzatrice, attrice polacca, di origine polacca ma molto internazionale, che è stata ospitata qui da noi al festival nel 2017 con il lavoro che è il trio Three Days of Snow. Hi Anna, how are you?
Hi, buongiorno. I'm very nice. I'm very good.
Good. I was just presenting you. You're a Polish artist, but you are also a very international artist in the sense that you work a lot in Poland, but you also work abroad. Would you like to tell us a little bit about your background, your artistic trajectory, what you did before until
Yes.
now, so the people who don't know you?
Of course. My background is connected with both theater and dance education. I was studying in National Theatre Academy in Poland and on a dance theater department, which means that during my education I always had a training in like drama acting and also in different types of dance. I think as a university for artists, the school was really special. It still exists because it was not a typical dance education like in many European schools. We didn't have so much ballet or modern techniques. We had it a little bit, but it was really much focused on like holistic approach to the body and anthropological roots of movement and dance. So I think it really also, that is why I was always really focused and interested in different cultures, because we've learned a lot about different roots in dance. We had a lot of workshops with people from India, China, Mexico. So it was something like which was always like, it was interesting to meet person from very different continent also to see how they also move or how they perceive art. So since my studies already, I was also always searching for how to find a connection with some other place somewhere abroad. And that was also why once I also we also cooperated with 3 Days of Snow as you also said before. But since a couple of years I'm working in Poland, and it's mostly as a freelancer. So I am a part of some small associations where in smaller groups we create some workshop ideas or some performance ideas. Also I am performing as a guest artist in 2 drama theaters in Poland. That is also always very interesting. Plus I really like finding my ways abroad, and mostly I am cooperating with people in the Netherlands, where I am right now actually. So I danced in one company in the Netherlands, Jens van Dale Burning Bridges. I managed to be performed twice in Torino in Starker Theater. Yeah. Also, it was a big pleasure to be part of tea dance in Aosta like 2 years or 3 years ago. I cooperated a bit with people from China last year. I was teaching in China. I'm just very curious. Like right now, the situation is a bit different with traveling because we are not so free to travel, which influences like life of many people who work like me a lot. So I'm curious just what the future will bring.
Yeah, of course, because you are an artist who has in traveling an essential part of your career and your artistic path, as you said. So the fact that the borders could be closed or now they are reopening. It's kind of it's a new thing. Let's say you have to adjust to this. So right now you are in the Netherlands.
Yes,
And
yes,
did you spend your lockdown periods in the Netherlands, even though you were saying before the interview that it was a little bit different compared to Italy or other countries who had a very very strict
yes.
closure and you know confinement periods. So
Hmm.
tell us a little bit about your experience in this
Yes. Uh-huh.
situation.
In this crazy period of time.
Yeah.
Well, just before the quarantine, I was actually taking flamenco dance course in Spain, which was my like which is something I always wanted to do, and I was doing flamenco dance course because I think it's just beautiful for a contemporary dancer also to know many different approaches. And
Mhm.
so during the quarantine, I was really like, when the quarantine started, I had to leave Spain very quickly because also as Italy, Spain was really infected. So in 2 days everything closed, and I just bought a ticket and flew here, where I also have a room, and because I cooperated with one company here.
Mhm.
So here you don't really feel that, like, people around are not so worried about it, or they don't speak so much about it. And since the beginning also, we were not completely closed in the houses, because the government of the Netherlands also allowed to go out, to take a walk, to go to the park, and of course with keeping distance and all the restrictions.
Mm-mm.
And of course it influences a lot the artwork, because the company with which I am cooperating here cannot work until December, probably. They cannot program their things.
So
So
it
it
is.
is.
So the
Yeah.
theater world is closed. I mean, the work related to the cultural area is
Yes.
as it is in Italy. Is now starting to reopen. It's just the theaters have opened on
Yeah.
Monday,
Oh.
but it has been closed for the past months.
Yes. So here it's similar. I just know that it's much more difficult right now for artists to program their things, because, like, if everything stopped in the middle of March, so all the events from March, April, and May until middle of June need to be performed, or need to happen in the other part of the year. And because of new measurements, that the audience, that it can be just half of the audience, the theaters also need to really limit the amount of shows, which means for a lot of companies that they cannot really do their work for some time right now, that maybe they need to move it all for the next year, where not everything is booked yet. And it's like, I feel it's finding a compromise between like thousands of associations, thousands of groups right now. And that's of course a big difficulty also for me personally. That it's very difficult that I don't have access to studio, because as a dancers, of course, we need, like, if we want to practice, we can do it at home. And I was doing it all
Yeah,
quarantine with.
I was about to ask
Yeah.
you just yes about that because you said you didn't during your education you didn't study so much as like techniques, specific
Yeah.
techniques, even though you are a very technical performer. For those who have seen 3 Days of Snow and other performers have
Yes.
seen you performing it in other shows, you are a very technical performer. So that needs a big amount of training. So how did you train during this period?
That's actually like, I have friends in from CEMF company. It's a dance company based in France, and it's
Yeah,
combined from Francesco Colaleo and Maxime Frexas,
yeah.
so French Italian duo. And we met last year in China. Uh, so even though we are much closer, normally, and we continue artistic cooperation, try to continue, because somehow we find very a lot of similar, like, things in the way we think about dance. Also, we like each other's energies, which is like beautiful. So during quarantine, actually, I practiced with Francesco every day via Zoom, so through
That's
camera,
great.
which was very beautiful, and very beautiful period, very difficult, because of course, it's different. We can do it as dancers, we know how to move the body, so we can share like that for a long time, like through the internet. But at one point, we of course start missing contact and being live together so much. But we were practicing together, giving it. I think without that, I probably wouldn't motivate myself, honestly. Because it's just it's also, you know, the limitation is big, because usually it's 1 meter per 1 meter of space in the room. You cannot really freely move your arms because you hit stuff.
Yes, of course.
Well,
I mean, we've all seen, like, during the quarantine period, even dancers from the Royal Ballet, or these very big ballet dance companies training at home in their kitchens or in the living rooms.
yeah,
So it's been quite it's been a quite creative period as far as training is concerned, I think.
yes,
Even though it's been difficult, also because I think dance training is something you do as an individual, but it's the dimension of the group is essential. Even though
yes,
you don't have to do necessarily have to train in group movement, but the fact of being part of a group is very important.
yes,
That's why dance classes happen in groups.
yeah.
So it's really it's parts of the process.
Yes, I fully agree. And also, I must say that I had 1 week during quarantine when I was giving online classes to non-professional dancers. It was for teenagers. I was hired by one company to give online classes, yeah, through one of the applications, and it was for children from like non-advanced children. So also, like for a teacher, it's super difficult to teach through the internet. I cannot really imagine, like, I know some people did it all quarantine, but especially if people are really not so much, they don't have so much in common with movement. It's so essential also to be together in space, to see the body really well, to give corrections, to give a good energy. While it's difficult through the little screen on the computer with an internet delay, when you sometimes see that, like, yeah, especially for the beginners, what I don't know, they bend the spine in a really not correct way, for example, right? And like if they do it once this week, yeah, it's not a problem. But still, live, you could easily correct it.
Yeah.
So then I think it's also within time, also more like hunger for live meeting like appears, just
Yeah.
because we need it.
What do you think about this? Is something that came up in previous or also in previous interviews. Do you think that this period of forced stop of everything has generated a hunger for people to, for example, to go to see a performance, or maybe not? Maybe, do you think it's, this
Hmm.
use of the technology will, in some sense, change the way that the people experience theater or dance or live performance in general?
Hmm. Yeah, I it's hard to say, because I can see, like I have a contact with different like social feeling about the quarantine. I think because in the Netherlands, I think people will go to theaters and to cinemas as soon as they can, because I see it already on the streets that they just whenever they released some restrictions, they all went to booking bars, restaurants, and all the places. While in Poland, people are really afraid, as I know from my family, because I'm in constant contact. And I think over there it will be more difficult to like have the like social like bravery, like, or the feeling that it's all okay again. So on one hand, of course, people for sure meet like experiencing things live, and also physically doing some physically change space. And I think that it's also an issue because I think more conscious and about breathe